Hi everyone, this is Professor Couture. Welcome to Criminal Law. I'm delighted to be teaching your criminal law course this semester. I'll start with a brief introduction of myself to give you a sense of who I am, and I'm sure we'll get to know one another better as the semester progresses. My background is I am an attorney and an experienced college professor. My undergraduate degree was earned at the University of Massachusetts at Boston, majoring in government and law. I then was working full time and went on to graduate from law school from New England School of Law. And most recently, I earned a graduate certificate in forensic criminology from the University of Massachusetts at Lowell. So I'm new to Curry this semester, but certainly not new to college teaching. I've worked more than 2 decades in college teaching and with professional experience in law, government, and criminal justice. And I bring those sets of experiences to share with you in our criminal law class. The most relevant experience, law-related experience that I have connecting to this particular course, which is criminal law, is that I was an assistant district attorney for 4 years, specializing in domestic violence and sexual assault crimes. My teaching experience following my service as an assistant district attorney includes, as I was hired as the professor and coordinator of the criminal justice program at Dean College, which some of you may know of. I left Dean in 2016 to take on the challenge of revitalizing the criminal justice program and to jumpstart the Law and Society program at Mount Ida College. After Mount Ida unexpectedly closed in 2018, I joined the criminal justice program at Bridgewater State University as a visiting lecturer and as a temporary full-time faculty member. I've taught a broad range of criminal justice, law, and even political science courses, including, obviously, criminal law, criminal procedure, constitutional law, corrections, criminology, many others, and also coordinated the internship program at Mount Ida College as well. My research interests are in criminal justice reform and in criminal justice education, and now I'm really pleased to be here at Curry and working with you this semester. Okay, so now that I've given you some background enough about me, let's cover some things about the course. I don't know whether you, by the time you have viewed this video, if you may have already looked at the syllabus that was posted and read through the announcements and some very short audio clips that I've shared over the past 2 weeks. But let me start by saying, as I enter into our discussion about the course, that I want you to know this about me beyond my background. What you really need to know is that I love teaching, and I'm here to help you, and I look forward to having a really good semester. Your success is important to me in this course. I'm here to help you. I can't make the law easier than it is, but I can certainly make it less complicated than it oftentimes is presented. And that will be my approach in this course. Some things you should also know about me is I have a passion for teaching. I value humor, honesty, compassion, integrity, and high standards. I'm dedicated to creating a learning environment with you that helps every student achieve his or her best potential, to stretch and grow, and to hopefully realize the rewards of hard work, becoming the best student that you can be or that you want to be. Okay, the textbook for our course is Essentials of Massachusetts Criminal Law, which is in its 14th edition. You will notice that I am the author. This is a self-published, it is not peer-reviewed, and it is made available to you in this course free of charge on your Canvas site. The topics we will cover are listed here on the screen. And we'll start with a broad introduction to some fundamental concepts in criminal law that will be the foundation on which we will build going forward. So Chapter 1 is very different than the remaining chapters that we will spend our time in. Chapter 1 really is laying the foundation. Then we start in earnest with the nuts and bolts of criminal law, looking at homicide crimes, murder, manslaughter, and the variations thereof. We then move on to non-homicide crimes against the person, of which there are many. From there, we will go to crimes against property and habitation. So that includes things like burglary, arson, malicious destruction of property. Again, someone owns that property, so there's a victim of the crime, but the crime is directed at property or places where people live, which is the term habitation, as opposed to the body of a person or the personal touching of a person in non-homicide crimes against the person. Then we move to drugs and controlled substances, including, that is not correct. Drugs and controlled substances are in Chapter 6. This is an error. Firearm offenses, crimes against justice, and public order crimes have been wrapped in to Chapter 3, so that is not entirely accurate, and I will correct that. The next place we go is operating under the influence of alcohol and or other drugs, and crimes related thereto. Chapter 8, we look at defenses to crime, which is always a challenge, but students find extremely interesting. Then we move to inchoate crimes or incomplete crimes. That would be solicitation to commit a felony, solicitation to commit murder or burglary, conspiracy to commit a particular crime, and attempts to commit those crimes that fall short of actual completion. And then the last chapter, we look at how individuals can be held criminally responsible. Obviously, if there's a robbery, the person, not so obviously, but as you will come to learn, if there were an armed robbery, the person who's holding the gun is the principal in the first degree. But what about the lookout? What about the getaway driver? Can they be held liable? What roles do they play? What kinds of criminal responsibility might they have in either an attempted or completed armed robbery in the example that I gave you? So we'll look at principles in the first degree to either an attempted or a completed crime, principles in the second degree to those crimes, accessories before the fact, whose involvement it ends before the criminal activity or the attempted criminal activity takes place, and then accessories after the fact, and those are situations where a person's involvement doesn't arise until the crime has already been completed and they are facilitating either the destruction or the hiding of evidence or other ways of either preventing or making it more difficult to identify who committed the crime. And those are accessories after the fact. As you can see here, certainly homicide crimes involve, as you probably know, involve the death of a human being. And that is always an interesting chapter to cover, but it can also be a difficult chapter to cover, as is crimes against the person. So I want to remind you all that some of the topics and issues, the case exercises, the discussions we'll have in this class deal with, discuss, depict, involve subjects that can be very sensitive for some and maybe for many of us in this class, especially for those who may have had an experience as a victim of crime, a witness to crime, perhaps a criminal justice professional, or a family member of one or any of those people, an accused offender, or a family member of an accused offender. So we will be referencing materials, watching video clips, and discussing crimes that may include graphic, violent, sexual, and disturbing language and details. So please attend to your well-being and contact me if you have some concerns about being able to safely or comfortably participate in our coverage of those particular topics. Certainly, Chapter 1, homicide crimes, may have a particular sensitivity level. Chapter 3, non-homicide crimes against the person, will include our coverage of rape and sexual assault of both adults, young men and women, teenagers, and young children. So if you feel that you're unable to participate, as you see on the screen, in any discussion of this material or activities relating thereto, please let me know before we start the chapter that coverage is expected to happen, or as soon as you become aware of your need to call this to my attention. Just send me an email, let me know you need to speak with me, and we'll figure it out. If you should become uncomfortable during a class, I encourage you to leave that class meeting, whether it's getting up physically from the face-to-face class, or whether it's terminating your Zoom session for that class. You will just email me and let me know that you needed to leave class for the reason of discomfort, and you will not be marked absent. Okay, so some things we'll be talking about in this class that you'll be able to answer once you've successfully completed the course are things like, what's the difference between murder and manslaughter? There's a dead body. So a crime has been committed. They're both criminal homicides. The manner of the difference between them is principally, but not exclusively, related to the level of intent and the way in which the homicide occurs. And we'll spend Chapter 1 unraveling all of that. How do we distinguish between first and second degree murder? Again, that'll come in Chapter 1. When does unwanted attention become a crime, like it's stalking or harassment? We'll cover that in Chapter 3. Does this state, whatever state, Massachusetts or whatever state you live in, follow the stand your ground rule regarding the use of self-defense, or must a person attempt to retreat from an aggressor in order to successfully employ a self-defense? Chapter 8, we cover a number of defenses in some detail. Self-defense is one of them. Defense of another is included there as well. Does the state in which you live or work recognize battered person syndrome? I'll tell you that if you're a Massachusetts resident, it does. We'll look at that defense likewise in Chapter 8, covering defenses to crime. Is insanity recognized as a complete defense? And what is the diminished capacity defense? Again, those will arise in Chapter 8. What is the statute of limitations for the crime of rape? And the answer to that is a complicated one that we'll cover, somewhat complicated. We'll cover that in Chapter 8 as well. So we have a lot of interesting things. Much of our work together will occur through the use of case exercises that bring the elements of crime or substantive criminal law. What is a crime? How is it defined? how is it proven, or what needs to be proven to get a conviction for that crime. That's what this course, the nuts and the bolts of this course is about. Your textbook is created and designed by me to be practical, approachable, easy access to information, simplifying to the degree that it is possible very complex issues involving criminal law. And you'll get lots of practice on how to use that through those case exercises, which is a key feature of the course and the course materials. So the case exercises actually sometimes are taken from actual cases. Sometimes they're just hypotheticals that help us learn how to take, okay, I can read the law, I understand, I can read what is second-degree murder. It's the taking of the life of another human being with malice aforethought. Great, okay. Well, what does that mean? And if I give you an example, which the case exercises we'll then figure out, okay, what does that mean? What does the word with malice aforethought mean? How might the prosecution be able to demonstrate that a person acted in a way that caused the death of another human being and did so with malice aforethought? Those are what the case exercises are designed to do, to make it real and to bring it to life. The case exercises will be assigned as homework. You will have homework in virtually every class. Yeah, you'll have homework due in every class. I'll talk more about the homework policy in detail during our first class meeting. There is some amnesty. You do get some free passes on missed homeworks, and I'll talk about that. You're also able to do the homework in small groups if that is your choice. It's not required. I'll talk about that more when we meet very soon, day after tomorrow, in fact. So many of the case exercises, you'll get lots of practice with them. We'll discuss, you'll work on them outside of class. You'll bring them in, you'll meet in your group, you'll discuss them in class in your group. We'll rejoin as a class as a whole, and we'll go over some of those case exercises, getting lots of practice on how to take the law and apply it to different fact patterns. There will also be 4 sets of graded case exercises that are sprinkled out through the semester. You will have had lots of homework practice before you are required to do one of those case exercises that is worth certainly much more than the homework. So you have 4 case exercises, and they're worth, I think, 45%. So they're worth about 10% of your grade each. You will get lots of coaching from me on how to do this. There are also worksheets that help really guide the process. It's like it's the game plan, basically. And you're going to improve with practice. And I promise you're going to get a lot of practice, but a lot of help and feedback from your small groups. You'll all be placed in a group, already have been placed in a group with 5 other members, so groups of 6. And then in the class as a whole, you'll get opportunities and feedback. And you'll learn. You'll learn by doing and through practice and feedback. Okay, so for our first class, we will have a detailed orientation to the course and to the Canvas site, the syllabus, course expectations, lots of resources to help you in this course, assignments, what they look like, where you'll find them, and then at the end of every class, including our first class, we'll go over what's due at the next class. And so you should be expecting that when we finish our class on our first class meeting, We will have covered the things that you see here on the PowerPoint, including a really detailed look at the Canvas orientation site. What's there? Where do you find the textbook? Where do you find the case exercises? Where do you find the glossary? Where can you find what you need to do the work I'm asking you to do? We'll also talk about why I'm asking you to do that work. I always explain the purpose of the assignments that I give you. And as I said, we'll go over that in greater detail when I see you in our first class. For that first class, please bring your computer or your tablet, and please plan to do that for every class meeting. If you are meeting me in face-to-face, bring either your computer or your tablet. If you don't have one, for all of the reasons that there may be for that, if you can just let me know so we can work through what might be a good game plan to make sure you do have what you need during class face-to-face. For our first class, if you could print out a copy of the course syllabus, which is on Canvas, in the link that says, in the left-hand navigation bar that says syllabus, and print out pages 26 to the end. Those are just class by class, what we're covering from now to the midterm. Don't freak out about the length of the syllabus. It is going to help you. It's not there to hurt you. It's there to help you. It helps you know what I am going to be covering. It helps me know what I'm going to be covering. And it's a roadmap of where we're going and how you're going to get there. Also, the syllabus part, not the course schedule part, which starts on page 26, is, as I said, a fairly detailed list of what we'll be covering in each class and what you must do to be ready for that class. What is due for each class meeting, and I will explain that in greater detail when I see you all on Tuesday. The syllabus part, excluding the course schedule, it contains all the information about policies, procedures, expectations. And I take a lot of care and attention, I really do, to decide not only what we'll cover in this course, but how we'll work together and engage with the course material. So the detail provides guidance and support with complete transparency of how things work. There won't be any surprises, or I work hard for there not to be any surprises. And frankly, so it helps you and it helps me. I make the best effort to be absolutely transparent, open, honest, and clear with you about what's expected of you. And I'm here to help you. I want you to be successful. I don't want there to be any surprises. So that's that. If you have any questions between now and our first class meeting, by all means, email me. Otherwise, I'll look forward to meeting either face-to-face or socially distanced face-to-face or via Zoom. And stay safe. Hopefully, we'll get some not too much snow. If we do, I'm quite certain classes won't be canceled. We will simply move to be fully on Zoom if in-person classes are not held due to weather